is actually how you pay yourself. This is from the book Profit First. Now, I highly recommend that if you haven't learned how to pay yourself from your business, go read that book. Here's the breakdown. So right here, you're going to see real revenue. So real revenue at the very top is basically your gross profit. So whenever your business makes money, right, that's the revenue. And then you have expenses that are necessary. They're direct costs to be able to make that money. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that someone is going to sell pizza. A direct cost would be the dough. A direct cost would be the tomato sauce. You cannot sell pizza unless you have the dough and the tomato sauce. So you subtract your revenue minus those costs, and whatever's left over, that is your real revenue. So let's say with real numbers, you have $10 and then you have $3 of those expenses. Then your real revenue is $7. Now, you'll notice in this chart, there's different columns, right? Column A, B, C, and it's for the different sizes of businesses. So let's say that pizza example, add a couple of zeros, right? Say it's a business making about 70,000 in real revenue. So it falls into column A right here. And so the real revenue is 100%. That is split up into these percentages right here. 5% goes into profit, 50% goes to owner's pay, 15% goes into tax, and then 30% goes into operating expenses. So let me explain what each of those are. The profit is for you being an owner in your business. So you're getting that as basically like a bonus. Your owner's pay is 50%. It's pretty high, but that's basically your salary, your hourly pay. Because in this point of your business, you're probably an employee in your business. Taxes is pretty obvious. We owe Uncle Sam, so you have to set aside some money for taxes. And then operating expenses is for things like rent, utilities. These are general expenses or indirect expenses. Now, all you got to do to figure this out for your business is do your books. Whatever that gross profit is, that is your real revenue. And so then you take that and you just split it by these percentages. That's it. So if someone were making $50,000 in gross profit, they would set aside $2,500 in profit, or that bonus. They would pay themselves $25,000 to themselves, and then they would set aside $7,500 for taxes, and then they would set aside 30% or $15,000 for operating expenses. So if you add all of that up, that should add up to $50,000. Now, you'll notice that in this chart, the numbers change, right, for each column. So as time goes on, your profit goes up and your